So earlier today, the top 30 nominees for the Ballon d'Or were officially announced, and in today's video, we're gonna go through the list, talk about it, give you guys my thoughts when I first saw it, what stood out to me, who I believe is missing, who I believe should be added onto this list, who I believe shouldn't be here at all, give you guys my thoughts on who I believe should win it, who's gonna finish in the top 3, give you guys all my thoughts on the Ballon d'Or. Now, obviously the top 30 doesn't really matter because most of these guys are not going to get a vote. They're just here for show. But again, now that we have the list, it's fun to talk about. And a lot of people nowadays like to shit on the Ballon d'Or. To me, and it's just me, but to me, it's still the biggest individual award you can win in world football. The Ballon d'Or still carries a lot of credibility, bro. It still does. Just because your favorite player didn't win it, it doesn't mean it loses credibility. It's still an important award. And players still dream of winning a Ballon d'Or. It's still an honor to be nominated to win a Ballon d'Or. And if you win it, you're edged in football history forever. Forever. People still talk about Michael Owen winning a Ballon d'Or. People still talk about Cannavaro winning a Ballon d'Or. Like, people still talk about that stuff. People still talk about how Henry never won a Ballon d'Or and how much of a tragedy it is. So the Ballon d'Or matters. Whether you like it or not, it matters. So today, like I said, we're going to go through the list, talk about it. This should be really, really fun. You guys, again, like I said, did I say this already? Probably not. You guys let me know your thoughts. Your thoughts on who you think should be added, who do you think shouldn't be here. Just give me your thoughts overall. It should be really, really fun, like I said, so let's get into it. Okay, so here we can see the 30 nominees. And the first thing that stood out to me when I saw this post is there's 9 PSG players nominated for the Ballon d'Or. 9. That is insane. Only 2 players from their starting 11 were not nominated for the award. And I'm not complaining because PSG obviously won the treble, made the Club World Cup final. They had a historic season. But the fact that they have 9 is crazy, dude. I'm pretty sure that's a record, or it ties a record with 2018 Real Madrid. I went back and looked at it. 2011 Barca, one of the greatest teams of all time, arguably the greatest team of all time, they had, I think, 7 nominees. So PSG has more than 2011 Barca. They're tied with 2018 Real Madrid. That is absolutely insane. Obviously, we know a couple other players are going to finish in the top 5. Probably one of their players is going to win it, Ousmane Dembélé. But again, I'm not here to complain about that because PSG do deserve 9 players. Now, the fact that William Pacho, who in my opinion was their best center back, isn't here is kind of crazy. I think he should be on this list because I think William Pacho was that good. And it's still so criminally underrated. He's one of the best center backs in the world. William Pacho is one of the best center backs in the world, and he proved it last season. But the fact that he's not on this list kind of pisses me off a little bit. The next thing that I noticed, right? So Real Madrid have Jude Bellingham nominated. They have Vinicius Jr. nominated. Obviously, Kylian Mbappe is nominated. That's fine. Do I think Vini should necessarily be a part of this list? I mean, it's 30 players. Do I think Vinicius Jr. was one of the 30 best players in the world this past season? Probably. He still had I think he had 40 GA or 41 GA. So his production, even though he had a down year, it was still there. But I would prefer to see Fede Valverde on this list. Like, I think Fede Valverde was arguably Madrid's best player all of last season. He should be on this list over either Vini or Jude Bellingham. Obviously, you're going to have Mbappe there, but Vini or Jude, both of them didn't have their best seasons. And I think Valverde had an amazing season. So I would be inclined to say that Fede Valverde should be nominated for the award over a guy like Vinicius Jr. or Jude Bellingham. Again, Jude Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. are held to this high standard because we've seen how great they can be. Last year, they were both in the top 5 for the Ballon d'Or. But again, do I think that they had these stellar seasons or they had better seasons than Fede Valverde, or they were more important or more impactful for that Madrid team that obviously won trophyless than Fede Valverde? No. But again, Vini, everybody's always going to pick on Vini. People call me a Vini Glazer. If you want to call me that, that's fine. I don't really give a fuck. But people are always going to pick on Vini. But again, as a guy who has defended Vinicius Jr., even as a Barca fan, I've defended him a lot. I don't see how, like, the fact that he's on this list over other guys that I'm going to talk about as well. I mean, Joshua Kimmich should be a part of this list. The fact that Kimmich wasn't a part of this list, Joshua Kimmich was simply one of the best midfielders in the world this past season. He just was, man. And look, I was wrong because I thought that he was kind of washed when Barca were going after him. I was like, oh, I don't want Joshua Kimmich. And then I saw him last year for Bayern under Vincent Kompany. He kind of, I don't want to say he had this resurgence because he never really fell off like that. But he looked really good. He looked like 2019 Joshua Kimmich. He was that good. So I think Joshua Kimmich not being a part of this list is crazy. Also, another midfielder that got snubbed here is Moises Caicedo. Moises Caicedo was arguably Chelsea's best player all of last season. Now, he didn't play much in the Conference League, and obviously Chelsea got knocked out of the two cup competitions in England. But bro, Moises Caicedo should be here. Obviously, Cole Palmer made the list because Cole was really good in the Conference League, and he also had the stellar performances in the Club World Cup. But I think Caicedo should be there. I think Caicedo should 100% be there. Also, one more thing that I noticed, and not to go back to Vini or Bellingham, but are we really going to sit here and act like Vinicius Jr. had a better season or Jude Bellingham had a better season than Alexander Isak or Julian Alvarez? Because if we are, then we're just flat out wrong. Neither of them had better seasons than Alexander Isak, who, by the way, I think had 35 goal contributions in the Prem and won Newcastle their first trophy in I don't know how many years. he should be a part of this list. Alexander Isak should be in the top 30 for the Ballon d'Or. And Julian Alvarez quietly had like 30 goals in all comps. He had like 30 goals in all comps. Again, he plays for Atletico Madrid, which are a big club, but not a club that gets talked about a lot, especially on social media. So people might not believe that Julian Alvarez had this great season. He did have a great season. Coming over from Man City, obviously sitting behind Haaland for all those years, he proved that he has the capabilities and the ability to be a number one striker, and his production backs that up. So again, I think that Vinicius Jr. being on here, or even Cole Palmer, actually, not just to pick on Vini, but Cole Palmer, who I get it, had a great, I understand he had a great Club World Cup and Conference League, but if I had to pick a Chelsea player to be on this list, it would be Caicedo, not Cole Palmer. And also, I think Isak should be here. And I think Julian Alvarez should be here. And again, guys like Feo Valverde missing, and guys like Joshua Kimmich missing, and guys like Moises Caicedo missing, to me, it's a little bit questionable. Like, Lautaro had a good year. Did he have a better year than Julian Alvarez? To me, no. Lautaro had a good year. Did he have a better year than Alexander Isak? No. So again, that to me is kind of questionable. People are talking about how Serhou Guirassy shouldn't be here. Serhou Guirassy was the top goal scorer in the Champions League. You're not going to have him out of this list. Guirassy had a really, really good year, so I'm okay with Guirassy being here. People are talking about how Haaland shouldn't be here. I think Haaland had 39 GA in all comps. Haaland was still one of the best strikers in the world. He had a down year because Man City as a whole had a down year, but Haaland should 100% be there. Another thing that stood out to me is, if you look at the top right next to Jude Bellingham, that is Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay, who had an incredible, unbelievable season for Napoli, helping them win the Scudetto again under Antonio Conte. Scott McTominay is the prime example that, and not to pick on this club, but it's true, Manchester United are where careers go to die. They are where careers go to die. And we've seen it many times. Players leave that club and they instantly, like that, look better. Anthony is an example of it. He goes to Betis on loan and he plays so much better than he did at United. Scott McTominay leaves United after all the fans wanted him. I remember they were calling that partnership of McTominay and Fred McFred, and they were like, oh, they're the worst midfield partnership in the Prem. Remember that? I remember those days when Fred and McTominay were a midfield partnership and everybody hated on them constantly. And now McTominay is like Maradona is here in Napoli, and then you have McTominay like right down here. Like he's almost on the same, like obviously not with Maradona, you can't compare the two, but I'm saying like, bro, he's like a hero for them now. And he's making the top 30 for the Ballon d'Or. And by the way, rightfully so, he should 100% be on this list. Nobody should be complaining about Scott McTominay being on this list because he deserves to be on this list because he was that good. But that's crazy how football can change, man. Like, it's a lot of times we think that players are trash because the environment around them is not allowing them to succeed. Most of these players are really, really good. I mean, I'm stating the opposite, but these guys made it to the pro level for a reason. They got big moves for a reason. And like, Manchester United wanted Scott McTominay for a reason. And he goes to Napoli, and look what he does, man. Look what he does. He's in the top 30 of the Ballon d'Or. He's next to Jude Bellingham. He's next to guys like Olise and Rafinha and Vini. Like, Scott McTominay, bro. Happy for him. I'm honestly, like, that made me happy. He's not going to win it, of course. He's not even going to finish top 10, I believe. But the fact that Scott McTominay, after being ridiculed for so many years at United, is in the top 30 of the Ballon d'Or is crazy. Now, speaking of Man United, Bruno Fernandes didn't make this list. And I think look, United obviously had a season from hell. It doesn't get worse than the season that they had. Finishing in 16th or 17th place in the Prem, losing the Europa League final to Spurs, and an embarrassing display in that final. And Bruno was terrible in that final. Bruno was so bad in that final. But he carried that team for the whole season. Carried them to what? I don't know. He carried them to 17th and second place in the Europa League, I guess. But he carried that team. So I don't know who you take out here. Maybe did Florian Wirtz really have a better season than Bruno Fernandes? The answer is probably not. The answer is probably not. Bruno Fernandes had a better year. Did Jude Bellingham have a better year than Bruno? It's close, but I would give it to Bruno. And again, that's because Jude's level is so high. But I think Bruno should, like, it makes me, I don't want to say uncomfortable because that kind of sounds weird, but it kind of rubs me the wrong way that Bruno's not on this list. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Bruno Fernandes. I think he's a great player, but I'm not a United fan, so I don't have to have an agenda for Bruno Fernandes. You know what I mean? I'm not propping him up just because of it, just because I support the team that he plays for. So again, you guys know I don't support United, but I think that Bruno Fernandes should find a way to be on this list. Now, we obviously got to talk about my club because Barca had a great year and they have a lot of people nominated. I can see right here Rafinha, I can see Pedri, I can see Robert Lewandowski, I can see Lamine Yamal. I mean, they have Barca had 4 players nominated. Maybe I'm missing somebody, but I think that 4 players nominated, and that makes me so happy, bro. Coming off last season under Xavi where the club looked like it was in disarray, and this year to have 4 players nominated, I actually believe that Inigo Martinez could have made this list. I think Inigo could have made this list. Honestly, I think that Jules Koundé could have made this list. I think that Alejandro Valde could have made this list. like I could see so many other Barca players making this list, but again, I get it. Barca didn't win the UCL, but they won a domestic treble. So the fact that Barca have 4 players here, it's crazy. And to me, look, now we got to talk about who I believe should win the award, right? Because it's cool to see the top 30. You know, you get to see guys like Scott McTominay, and you know, you get to see guys like Desiree Doué and Denzel Dumfries making a list, and Gurasi. They're all great stories. All these guys who don't really get a lot of recognition by the media as a whole. They're in this list now, and they're forever edged in history. Like they can say to their kids, "I was nominated. I was one of the top 30 nominees for the Ballon d'Or in the year 2025." That's all great. But again, we know the top 30 doesn't really matter. It's mostly about the top 5, and really it's about the top 2, and really it's about the winner. It's really about the winner, because if you're not one, because being second is the first of those who lose. I think Vince Lombardi said that, the former football coach that wore the nice hat. But anyway, coached the Packers, 3 straight Super Bowls back in the 1960s, Bart Starr, all those guys, you know, it's Google it. But anyway, who do I believe is going to finish in the top 5? Obviously, there's going to be some, I don't want to say trophy bias, because obviously trophies are the currency in football, but PSG winning all those trophies, they're going to have a lot of players in the top 30. They're going to have a lot of players, they're going to have a good amount of players in the top 10. I believe the winner, look, I think the top 3 should be Ousmane Dembélé, Rafinha, and Lamine Yamal. That would be my top 3. What order do you want to put that in? Because I wasn't saying that in order, by the way. That's just like the names that I think should be top 3. Right outside of that, I would have Pedri. I would have guys like, you know, obviously guys like Desiree Doué. Nuno Mendes should be on there as well. I mean, people are talking about how Desiree Doué shouldn't be on here. Desiree Doué had 32 GA. Desiree Doué had 32 GA, and he had a stellar performance in the UCL final. I'm not mad about Desiree Doué being here. But, you know, you're going to, like, Mohamed Salah is obviously going to be in that, he should be in that top 5, right outside right inside the top 10 and the top 7. Olise had a great year. But again, we're talking about the top 5. Or the top 3, really. I don't know how to say this, because I'm always going to have a bias towards the players for the team that I support. It's just natural. You know, I'm not a perfect person, nor do I try to be a perfect person, nor do I ever come across as trying to be a perfect person, I think, at least, or maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But my point is, I do have my biases. I try to keep them away in this channel and just talk about, you know, my opinions on football as a whole, and I think I do a good job of that. But again, I do have my biases. For me, the winner of the Ballon d'Or should be Rafinha. It should be Rafinha. Or if it's not Rafinha, it's Lamine Yamal. And I understand that Ousmane Dembélé had a great year. And Ousmane Dembélé, I've said this before, I'm actually happy to see him thriving right now, because he went through so much shit at Barca. And to see him now be a treble winner and he's going to probably win the award. I think Ousmane Dembélé will win the award. Is he the guy that I would want? Is he the guy that I'm picking to win? Or like that I want to win? No, but Ousmane Dembélé is going to win the award. I'm very confident in saying that Ousmane Dembélé is going to win the award. Now, last year, we were very confident, a lot of people were very confident, including myself, in saying that Vini was going to win it, and then it gets to the ceremony and Rodri's taking home the award. So again, we don't know. We don't know. The days of Messi and Ronaldo being the guaranteed top 2, those days are long gone. This is not 2021 when Benzema, where there was no debate who's going to win it, because Benzema was by far and away the best player that year. There's actually debate here. But again, I think Ousmane Dembélé is going to win it. But if I had to pick, I would say Lamine Yamal or Rafinha. Now, if you put a gun to my head and you say pick one, Lamine Yamal or Rafinha, who do you really want to win it? I mean, if you had to pick one guy. You know, I've changed my opinion on this a lot. I think if you would have asked me this in March, I would have said Rafinha, no question about it. If you would have asked me this, you know, if you asked me this in May, I would have said, or June, I would have said Lamine Yamal. Now that we're kind of removed from the season, I'm kind of thinking that my vote, I would say Rafinha, man. I think what Rafinha did this year for Barca was so incredible. His performances in big games. And I understand that after the international break in March, he didn't have the best season. He didn't really have those moments that we were accustomed to seeing earlier in the year. But I do believe that Rafinha is a guy who, he just had so many impactful moments for that Barca team. And a Barca team that was this close to making the UCL final and potentially winning a treble. If Barca would have won that game against Inter, when Rafinha scored what should have been the winner, and then they go to Munich and beat PSG in that final, there's no debate that, in my opinion, Rafinha is going to win the Ballon d'Or. Or he's definitely, like, it's going to be between him and Lamine Yamal, it's going to be close. But I would probably say Rafinha, because I think the amount of contributions he had to that team, I don't know, he was really good this year, man. And you guys know, if you watch Barca, you guys know how important he was to the squad, and the amount of impactful moments he had, and scoring in big games like against Bayern Munich, scoring a hat-trick in that game, and scoring in, I think, every single Clásico that Barca played in. He scored on the 4-0, right? He scored a brace in that game. No, Lewandowski scored a brace. Rafinha scored a goal in that game. Then in the 5-2, he scored that header from Koundé, and I think he scored another goal. Yeah, he scored a brace in that game. Then No, he didn't score in the Copa del Rey final, but then in the game in March he did score. So he scored in 3 out of the 4 Clásicos. So obviously his big game catalog is there and his big game performances are there. Obviously Lamine also has that too. Lamine in the latter stages of the season, especially in the UCL, when you look at his performances against Benfica and Dortmund in that first leg and Inter in both legs, he was honestly like, it was something like we've never seen before. It really was. And he was so good for that Barca team. He was amazing, man. To me, Lamine Yamal is the best player in the world. But if I have to pick who wins the award, I think Lamine had a better closing end to the season. But I think for the beginnings, for the start of it, now that I think about it more, I'm like, Rafinha was so productive for that Barca team, just scoring and scoring and scoring and assisting and being so impactful. And not just being a GA merchant, by the way. He's playing some beautiful football, like some amazing football. It also sucks that, you know, a guy like Mohamed Salah, who had probably one of the best seasons, not even probably, he had one of the best seasons in Prem history. He's just going to get forgotten because he's not going to win it, because Liverpool, unfortunately for them, got knocked out. Obviously, even though they won the Prem and, you know, going away, they were not able to win the EFL Cup. They lost to Newcastle. They were not able to win the FA Cup. They got knocked out by Portsmouth, I'm pretty sure. They were not able to win they got knocked out by I think it was Portsmouth, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, they got knocked out by Division 3 team. They were not able to win the UCL. They got knocked out by the eventual champions. So again, a guy like Mohamed Salah kind of being forgotten in this pisses me off, and I think it sucks because as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Mo, but he's gonna finish in the top 5 anyway. But again, my point is, going back to Rafinha and Lamine, I think Rafinha, I would pick Rafinha to win the award. I think Rafinha should win the Ballon d'Or, but again, the voters are going to vote for Ousmane Dembele. But, I don't know. I think Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, that would have been great, man. That would have been great to see either of them win it. Hopefully, man, it's still a chance. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, those are my thoughts on the Ballon d'Or. I think Ousmane Dembele is going to win it, but if I had to pick a winner, it'd be Rafinha, with Lamine Yamal being a close second. Also, Pedri should not be forgotten here because Pedri had one of the most amazing seasons a midfielder has had, and I don't know how long. He was fucking ridiculous this year. He should finish in the top 5. He should finish in the top 5. I understand that Nuno Mendes and Vitinha were both part of treble-winning teams. Pedri was the best midfielder in the world this season. He was the best midfielder in the world this season, and I will argue with anybody who says he wasn't. He was the best midfielder in the world this season. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Caicedo needs some love. Isak needs some love. Fede Valverde needs some love. PSG got a lot of love. Obviously, 9 players. Kvaratskhelia going from Napoli to PSG, being a key player for them, and obviously winning the UCL. That's crazy. Scott McTominay making the list. Pretty cool nominee. Pretty cool 30 nominees for the Ballon d'Or. A lot of diversity here. A lot of different styles and different, you know, it's like there's a flavor for everybody here. Whatever you like, there's something here for you. So yeah. You guys, let me know your thoughts. Who do you think should win it? Who do you think is gonna, who's gonna finish in the top 5? Let me know your thoughts in regards to the Ballon d'Or. I want to hear it so bad, man. I want it so bad. No, I'm kidding. That's gross. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. And oh, by the way, for the best graphic tees in the game, check out the final thread. The link is in the description. Can't forget to do that. Gotta plug the brand. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Check out the final thread. Link in the description. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Love you all. Peace out.